There's a scene in Breaking Bad that sums up Walter White's entire transformation in a single moment. Season 4, episode 6. Skylar is panicking, terrified about what might happen now that they're tangled up in the drug world. She still sees her husband as the same man who used to grade chemistry tests at the kitchen table. But Walter, he's long past that.
I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger. A guy opens his door and gets shot, and you think that of me? No. I am the one who knocks.
That's not just a line. It's a declaration, a warning, a transformation that we didn't just watch happen. We felt it. When Breaking Bad begins, Walter White is the most unthreatening man imaginable. He's a high school chemistry teacher who gets no respect from his students, his boss at the car wash, or even his own family. He drives a beige Pontiac Aztec. He folds his own sandwiches into neat little halves. He's not a criminal. He's not a threat. He's a man who's been shrinking in the background of his own life for decades. Then he gets cancer. That moment in the doctor's office when he hears the words,
"Lung cancer. Inoperable."
Cranston plays it with a subtlety that's easy to miss. It's not just fear or sadness, it's something else. A flicker of realisation. The life he's been trudging through is already over. The rules he's been following don't matter anymore. And suddenly, he has a reason to break them. Walter's first steps into the meth business are sloppy, almost comedic.
Oh my god.
He teams up with Jesse Pinkman. He's ex-student, a guy who barely passed chemistry and now cooks low-grade meth out of desperation. Walter has no idea what he's doing outside the science. He doesn't know how to sell the product. He doesn't understand the danger he's stepping into. But that changes fast. What starts as a last-ditch effort to provide for his family turns into something deeper. Walter doesn't just cook meth, he perfects it. The purity, the signature blue colour, it's not just about making money, it's about proving himself. And as he gets better at it, something dangerous happens. He likes it. You can see the shift in Cranston's performance almost immediately. The way Walter carries himself.
Run.
The way he speaks to Jesse. At first with uncertainty, then with growing authority. The first time he stands up to a threat, Tuco Salamanca, the volatile drug dealer who beats one of his own men to death in front of them. Walter doesn't back down. Instead, he walks into Tuco's hideout, throws a chunk of fulminated mercury onto the floor, and blows the windows out the building. That's the moment he gets his first real taste of power, and he doesn't look back. The brilliance of Cranston's performance isn't just in how he plays Walter's transformation into Heisenberg, it's how he shows us that Walter was never as innocent as he seemed. Walter likes to frame his dissent as something he's doing for his family. He repeats it like it's a mantra.
Everything that I do, everything, I do it to protect this family.
But every season chips away at that lie. When Skylar finds out what he's been doing, she's horrified. She doesn't see a desperate husband trying to protect his loved ones. She sees a man who's choosing this life, and she's right. The moment that seals it, Season 2, Episode 12. Jane Margolis, Jesse's girlfriend, is choking on her own vomit after a heroin overdose. Walter walks in the room, sees her dying, and does nothing. He hesitates, his face twists in anguish. For a second, it looks like he might save her, but then something in him shifts. He watches as she suffocates, and then he leaves. That's the moment Walter White dies. Because from then on, it's no longer about survival. It's about something uglier, more selfish. Walter has a chance to stop, but he keeps going, pushing further into the drug empire he's building. Not because he asked her, but because he wants to.
Say my name.
By season 4, Walter is unrecognisable from the man we met in episode 1. He's no longer afraid, he's no longer reactive, he's in control.
We're done when I say we're done.
His final battle with Gus Fring, his most dangerous enemy yet, isn't one with brute force, but with pure calculation. Gus is meticulous, untouchable, always a step ahead. But Walter is willing to go where Gus won't. He poisons Brock, a child, not because he wants to kill him, but because he knows it will force Jesse to turn against Gus. He manipulates Jesse into thinking it was Gus who poisoned the boy, and suddenly, Walter has his opening. The final stroke of genius, Hector Salamanca. Walter uses a man who hates Gus even more than he does, turning him into a human bomb. When Gus walks in that nursing home and sees Hector's bell ringing frantically, he realises too late that he's been outplayed. Then... When Walter stands on the parking garage rooftop and takes that call from Skylar, his voice is calm. He doesn't sound scared or relieved. He sounds satisfied.
What happened? I won.
That's not Walter White speaking anymore. That's Heisenberg. He's not just talking about Gus Fring. He's talking about everything. The cancer, the life that made him feel small, the world that never gave him the respect he thought he deserved. At that moment, Walter doesn't just think he survived, he thinks he's beaten the game. But here's one thing Walter never accounted for. Himself. Walter's rise was built on desperation, but his downfall, that's pure hubris. Season 5 is where Heisenberg is in full force. Walter isn't just making meth anymore, he's running a global operation. Gus Fring was careful, strategic, but Walter is reckless. He's arrogant. He forces his way into a business with Declan, Mike and the Phoenix crew like he's untouchable. And for a while, he is. He builds an empire, he launders millions through Vermanos Pest. He partners with Lydia, expanding his reach into international markets. But it's never enough. Walter doesn't just want to be rich, he wants to be recognised. He wants people to know that he's the best. That's what makes him slip. There's no better example of this than his final showdown with Hank. After Hank arrests him, Walter tries one last desperate plea, but it doesn't matter. Hank knows it's over, and then Walter makes his biggest mistake yet.
You're the smartest guy I ever met. And you're too stupid to see. He made up his mind 10 minutes ago.
Walter watches as Jack's crew executes Hank right in front of him. It's the one thing he never thought could happen, the one thing he can't control. Gus Fring, the cartel, Jesse, Skylar, he outmaneuvered them all. But Hank was never playing the game, he was just doing what was right. And that's the moment Walter finally loses. When Walter calls Skylar after Hank's death, it's one of Bryan Cranston's most devastating moments in the entire series. On the surface, he sounds like a monster. He rants, he threatens, he sounds like he's blaming her for everything, but that's not what's happening. Walter knows the DEA is listening, and this phone call is his way of absolving her. He takes full responsibility, painting himself as an abusive husband, a criminal mastermind, a man she could never have stopped. It's his final act of love for his family, but it doesn't matter, because the damage is already done. Walter White won the Empire, and he lost everything else. Walter is alone now, no allies, no family. He's just a desperate man on the run, stripped to the power that once made him feel invincible. He escapes to New Hampshire, living in isolation. His money useless, his empire gone. He's nothing, just a dying man waiting for the inevitable. And then, one last moment of pride pulls him back in. Watching Gretchen and Elliot dismiss his legacy on television, acting like Walter White never mattered, like he never existed, it's too much. He spent years proving himself, carving his name into history with blood and blue meth. And now people are erasing him from the story. Walter White won't let that happen. Walter's final plan is perfect, not because he's looking for redemption, but because he's finally honest with himself. When he sneaks back into Albuquerque and confronts Skylar, it's the first time he tells the truth.
I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it.
That's it. That's the confession. Walter doesn't want to fix anything anymore. He just wants to leave his final mark. He sets up a trust fund for Flynn, using Gretchen and Elliot as the delivery system. He wipes out Jack's crew with a mechanical turret, a plan so cold and calculated it would have made Gus Fring proud.
You want your money, right? You pull that trigger, you never.
And when Jesse refuses to kill him, when he silently tells Walter, if you want this, do it yourself, Walter finally accepts his fate. With a bullet wound in his gut, and nothing left to do, he stumbles into Jack's meth lab. He runs his hand over the equipment, the machinery, the chemistry that made him a king. The police sirens close in, his breath slows, the song plays. and Walter White dies alone in the empire he built. Bryan Cranston turned Walter White into something more than just a great TV character. He made him a legend. Every decision, every change, every unravelling piece of Walter's soul was played with such precision that you don't just watch his transformation, you feel it. He made you root for him, then fear him, then hate him, and then mourn him. Walter White wasn't a good man, but he was a great character. And in the end, he truly was the danger.